Hey, I'm Evelyn.
And I'm Robert.
And we're talking about it.
So our chapter for this episode is King of the Golden Hall.
Yeah.
I know you made some predictions last time.
I did make some predictions, and I'm proud of my predictions. I still stand by them.
Okay.
So my first prediction was that I learned my lesson from Treebeard and from the White Rider, that I said that within the first 2 pages, we were going to meet the King of the Golden Hall.
Well, you were wrong, so obviously you didn't learn from your mistakes.
We still met him pretty early, though. Anyway, and then I predicted that the King of the Golden Hole was going to be Rohan. I predicted the king was going to be like the king of Rohan. Not necessarily the king of Rohan, but like the leader of Rohan.
Okay.
I predicted it would be the Rohan people. And then I also predicted that none of the hobbits would be in this chapter. Not Sam or Frodo or Merry and Pippin.
All right, so that's 66%. That's a D, but still passing.
All right, so I guess we should get into the chapter so that everyone else can see if I'm right or not.
All right. Well, what we have here is Gandalf, Legolas, Gimli, and Aragorn are on their way.
Yes, they're traveling.
But they...
Very hard.
Very hard. So they take a rest.
Mm-hmm.
And all of them actually lay down.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we even see Legolas sleep.
Yes, Legolas actually sleeps, and Aragorn even lays down. Even if he doesn't sleep, he still, lays down while Gandalf just keeps watch.
Right. And I thought that was kind of interesting that Gandalf is keeping watch. As opposed to when Legolas usually keeps watch because his great eyesight.
Right.
But his eyesight does play a part here later on.
Yes, it does.
So, as they wake up, they see the Evermind flowers.
Yes.
These flowers bloom on the burial mounds of the kings of Rohan. Mm-hmm. And they bloom year-round.
Yeah.
So the way that described by some of his notes, some of Tolkien's notes, is it's almost like a miniature forget-me-not flower.
Okay.
In appearance.
Okay.
Which also kind of runs with the idea of them growing on the king's mound because we should remember our kings.
Yeah. That's neat. I like that.
And also as they wake up, Gandalf, I love the way Gandalf just says this. Speak, Legolas! Like he expects Legolas to know exactly what he wants to know. But apparently he does because now Legolas starts looking around. And
it was definitely like an action movie or spy movie where it's like, Legolas, you're up. What's the 20? Mm-hmm. It felt that way to me.
Right. In what he sees so far out that he can see the seat of Rohan.
Yes.
He sees that far away. And he talks about it being peaceful looking.
Which is definitely something that I was not expecting.
Right.
Because of what the turmoil is right now in Middle-earth itself. Like, where even the frickin' trees are being called to war.
Right.
That I was not expecting that.
Remember, ants aren't trees. But anyway.
But no, they got the trees to move too.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But like I said, I think it's really interesting that, like you said, it's peaceful looking. Mm-hmm. And then as they get close enough, they see the burial mounds. Mm-hmm. 5 on one side, 4 on the other. Now, what we're not told in the book, but what we know by other history, quote unquote, of Middle Earth, the break in the line is because there was a change in the line of the king. Mm. The one king died off and had no surviving sons. And so the son of his sister became king.
Okay.
And that's why there's a break.
Okay.
To signify the break in the line.
And that's very interesting because of what's going to happen later.
Right. And then a song! We finally get a flippin' song!
I'm not going to lie. I didn't quite miss them. But I did at the same time.
And it was short.
It was short. It was short and sweet and to the point.
Yes.
I'm not mad about it.
So I kind of like that. I like that we're back with the songs.
Okay.
And spoiler alert, there's 2 more in this chapter.
There were. He had to catch up.
Exactly. Also, the Rohan resemble in look and manner the Anglo-Saxons.
Yes, for sure.
In everything except having the horses. Mm-hmm. But in reality, it's not really the Anglo-Saxons. It's the Anglo-Saxons found in poetry and legend.
Right. Yeah. From what is brought from history, from ancient poems and such.
Correct. Yep.
Like what the Romans said.
And then even the challenge by the guard is much like an episode out of Beowulf.
It is.
Where he and his companions are being accosted by the guards on the coast of Denmark.
Yeah.
The guards want them to prove who they are. Right.
And these guards, they don't speak common. They speak their own tongue, which Gandalf kind of reprimands them for, like, you're purposely trying to make enemies with people that come to your gates right off the bat.
Right. And
that's the first hint, or at least for me, that's the first hint that they're told to do this by someone called Wormtongue.
Wormtongue.
Which I immediately think of Wormtail from Harry Potter, and I immediately am like, I don't trust this person.
Well, and Wormwood is another name for the devil.
I did not know that.
And it's interesting, though, because Wormtongue, second take, it's interesting because Wormtongue is based on an untrustworthy character in the Beowulf saga as well. His name is Unforth. Mm-hmm. That's the best I know how to pronounce it.
Okay. It's been a minute since I've read Beowulf.
Yeah, Unforth.
Okay.
And then one of the things I find interesting is when they are let in and they start heading up, someone calls out to them, "May the Lord of the Mark be gracious to you."
Yeah.
Being a pastor, that has so many undertones of Gandalf's religion.
Okay.
It said, "May the Lord be with you."
Yeah.
"May the Lord of the Mark be gracious to you."
Mm-hmm.
So.
See, I almost felt it was almost an underhanded kind of thing, the way he says it. Where he's like, I'm really the one in charge here. Don't get it twisted.
No.
Is kind of the way I read it.
Oh, okay.
Where it was more, where I at least kind of felt it was him, like, asserting his dominance. And it's like, y'all don't understand who I am. I'ma tell you.
And then when they get up to the hall, we have that little pissing match about leaving the weapons or not.
Yes. Which, I'm not gonna lie, I am a little bit on the party side because... So I'm not gonna lie, I'm definitely on the party side on this one because they've got some very valuable weapons.
Right, and not just valuable, one of a kind.
Yeah. Like, and not even one of a kind, but Aragorn's sword literally is, like, one of the things showing that he's the king of Gondor.
Right.
And he gets into a pissing match himself, too. Being like, well, I'm the heir of Gondor. Like, and that's, like, one of the few times we see him, like... Actually, this might be one of the first times that I see him, like, truly, like... trying to, like...
embrace that.
Not necessarily even embrace it, but, like, use it for his own... Not necessarily use it for his own gain, but, like, use it for his own gain. Like, be like, I'm the Gondor dude. And he's like, my rank is higher. And they're just like, well, we don't care. This is his home.
Well, and what it reminds me of also is like when a cop stops somebody and the guy in the car goes, "Don't you know who I am?" And the cop's like, "I don't give a damn who you are."
Yeah.
And the hall itself is also described as one that is found in some old Anglo-Saxon text.
Okay.
Now, I try to flip back to find out which poem that's from, but I didn't write those notes down properly.
Okay.
But it is from a description from an old Anglo-Saxon text.
Okay. So Gandalf just kind of walks and's like, "Hey fam, I'm back. How's it going?" And they're like, you get out of here. You only bring bad juju, man. Like, like he's like, "Hey, happy to see me?" And they're like, no, we're not.
Right. And then they have the gall to dish Gadriel.
Oh my god, yeah. And Gimli's like, he's about to throw down. He's like, "All right, time to beat some people."
And that's our second song.
Yeah.
I mean, these songs here are short.
Yeah. And I love it. It's very, to me, it was a passive-aggressive song. Where,
Yeah.
Yeah, where Gandalf's like holding Gimli back, and he's just like kind of like sings the song kind of under his breath, like, "Do-do-do, you guys used to be cool, but now you're not." Like, kind of thing. He's just like holding Gimli back, and Gimli's like ready to go. He's like, "I don't have my axe, but I'm gonna throw down." But Gandalf just passively aggressively just sings this song.
Right.
And then he just goes into like full Gandalf the White mode.
Yeah. Gandalf just suddenly reveals himself in white. He takes his hat off.
Yeah.
And stands up straight.
Yeah.
And we see that in the movie itself. We see that a few times, where he's got that old man posture, but when he needs to, he can stand up straight, and it almost makes him. The movie makes it look like he's almost like 6 inches taller.
Oh, okay.
When he does it, because the camera angle also drops down when he does it.
All right, I'm interested to see that. But yeah, it was just really fun. I really liked this moment. It was fun.
Right, and Wormtongue is sprawled out on his face.
Yeah, Gandalf just like kind of like does something, like he uses his staff to like do something to Wormtongue, and everyone's just like, "I told you should have had the staff inside or outside or whatever." And Wormtongue's just like flat on his face.
Right.
And Gandalf's like, "I said what I said."
And Eowyn is called Theoden's sister daughter, which I find that...
When I first read it, I'm like, I literally had to reread because I'm like, is this about to get weird?
This is not Chinatown.
Okay. I literally had to like...
If you don't know the reference, watch Chinatown. Okay.
But no, like, I literally like went like... I literally had to pause and go, "Wait, what?" And like look back. I'm like, "What's happening?"
I know, it's weird.
It did throw me off. I'm not gonna lie.
It's weird saying it like that because it's normally you would say niece.
Yeah.
But because there's some undertones of royalty there, and also thinking about Europe, and in the Dark Ages and stuff like that, they often called a female ward a niece, even if there was no actual.
Yes, that is true. Yeah.
And I also wonder if Gandalf was picking it up because even sometimes in the movies at that time that he's writing, niece would also be a code word for a younger lover that lived with you.
Oh, okay.
But I think the main reason he does that is to give them a title more worthy than niece.
Yeah.
You know, it's particular to say that.
Okay.
Okay. And she and her brother have been wards of Theoden ever since the death of her parents.
Right.
And so that's why they are there. Also, if you look at some notes, it's written down in several different places. Tolkien was originally thinking about Aragon and Arwen to marry.
Yeah.
And that would have kind of brought the two houses together.
Oh, okay. Because I definitely picked up on that, where there was, like, definitely, like, some attraction on, it seems like on both of their parts, but whereas she was just like, okay, hi. Aragorn was more like, this is different. Like, he seemed more off-put by it.
Right. And the other part of all this, if you, again, in the movie, you can see that she's not quite dull-eyed, but she is looking at him beyond just respecting a man of power.
Okay.
There's a little bit of, want's not the right word.
Interest.
But there's a little bit of, romantic interest in her eyes.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Though I really love the way she's written. She's written as a very competent and powerful woman.
Right.
Like, she's not written like this doe-eyed girl who's only interested in romance. She's written as, like, she's literally made, jumping forward a little bit, she's literally made she's made the leader of the place while the king has to go somewhere.
While all the men are gone.
While the men are gone, they're just like, well, who's going to be in charge? And he's like, easy, my niece.
Right. Yeah.
Like, she's capable. And right. I really appreciated that.
Yes. Yeah, I like that too. But Theoden is still talking about it seems so dark there. And this was probably caused by Wormwood's manipulations.
Yeah.
Again, referring to the movie, you see Theoden go from this old, even the book says...
Even the way the book shows him going from this decrepit, old, slightly senile old man back to this, again, sitting up straight, standing straight and tall. He seems to de-age slightly. The way it's described in the book is brilliant.
Right. And because how he is described when they first see him, he is bent over so badly he looks like a dwarf.
Yeah.
But now that he's standing up straight, the darkness of his dreams are starting to fade. In the movie, we get some very visual signs, where instead of looking like someone who is waiting for death, basically, he is now somehow groomed well.
Okay.
And so forth. And there's, and that's a very good image of the change in him.
Okay.
I love how they do that in the film.
Okay, I'm excited to see that. I have no memory of it, so we'll see how it goes.
And Gandalf tells him that there is hope.
Yes. I liked that a lot.
And Legolas also looks to the east again. And he sees a glint of white and a tongue of flame. And that's all we're given.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, okay,
It's like, okay.
what's that all about?
Thanks.
So that's, it's like, okay, so folks, remember that.
Yeah.
And then Theoden calls for his sword.
Yeah.
Which was found in Wormtongue's chest.
Yes. Along with other things that have gone missing.
Gone missing, yes. Little thief.
Yeah.
And
yet he shows him mercy almost.
Right. Yeah.
he's like, either prove that you are truly, because he's trying to be this
right.
he's being a worm about it. He's talking about like how he's like, oh, I was doing it for the good of the kingdom and all that, and he's like, okay, prove it. Let's go fight some people.
First he says, ride with my men.
Yeah.
He says, well, I want to stay here and serve you. He goes, well, I'm riding with my men too. And there's a
yeah.
And somewhere in there, when he grabs his sword, we have our third song.
Yes.
And again, it's short.
Yeah.
And he vows not only to ride with his men, but to lead his men right at the front.
Yes.
And he pretty much expects not to come back.
Yeah, he expects not to come back, and he names his nephew his heir, and he's like, and if he doesn't come back, my niece has got this.
Right. And Wormtongue is still despicable up until the last moment.
Yeah.
Right up until that aw crap moment for him.
Yeah, where he obviously, he definitely calculates in his mind, and so he just quickly like spits on the ground and he just takes off.
Well, before that though, Gandalf says, "Down, snake, down to your belly," which is very reminiscent of Genesis 2:14.
Okay.
Where the serpent loses his legs and has to crawl on his belly.
Okay. Sure. But yeah, and he's just like, how long have you been bought by Saruman?
Right. And then Gandalf kind of says, well, Saruman wasn't always evil.
Yeah.
And
he's been corrupted by the thought of power.
By the thought of power, right. And then we have gifts.
Yeah.
We have gifts. Theoden gives gifts of armor. He offers it to the four. Aragorn and Legolas takes him up on it.
They take some armor.
They take themselves up on it.
And Gimli is just like, my armor is pretty awesome, but I'll take a shield. And I love how the shield he gets like, yeah, that was made for me when I was a kid. And he's like, okay.
Yeah. And but he also takes a cap made out of iron and leather.
Yeah, that fits his head well.
Yes, again, because when he was a child.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so the symbol on the shield is the symbol for Rohan.
Yes, it is.
Which I find very interesting.
I do find it very interesting because that's something that I feel like Gimli earlier in the book might have got at. Where he would have been like, I don't want to carry the shield of someone else. I don't want to like have the symbol of someone else. I'm a proud dwarf. But in this moment, it's more of this is a necessity. Like, we have to make allies, and I can't turn down these gifts because, like, we need to fight some people.
Right. Well, I also think that by accepting the gifts from Galadriel has softened his heart.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of, when he takes the gifts, he's just like, all right, we're good now. But if you meet the Lady Galadriel and you don't declare her the most beautiful woman you've ever seen, we fighting.
Yeah, we got things to settle. Yeah.
Yeah. I love it.
But we have Gimli and Legolas having more man bonding.
Yes.
Here too.
Yeah, where the guys are like, Gimli, will you honor me and ride with me, and I will, like, let's ride together. And he's like, sure, okay, but Legolas gotta ride with us. I love the bromance. I love it.
Right.
He's like, yeah, and the guy's like, yes, Legolas on one side and Aragorn on the other side, and we shall be unstoppable. And it really just made me giggle. It can't, like, oh my god, I can't, it reminded me of something, and I can't think of what it was. It's like a villain from a cartoon where it's just like, yes, with you by my side, we shall be unstoppable.
Okay.
That's just, it, yeah.
Okay. Well, okay then. And then, basically to end the chapter up, Gandalf, throws back his gray cloak You can see he's adorned in white.
Yes.
And behold the White Rider.
Yes.
Time for a commercial.
Exactly. Now, okay, so before we get into the next part, do we have anything else we need to talk about for this chapter?
I don't think so. I think we pretty much covered it. I mean, it's not a long chapter.
Okay.
And a lot of it...
I liked this chapter, though.
Yeah, it's not a long chapter. We get to meet new characters. We see the established characters in a little bit of a different light.
Yeah.
I mean, with Aragorn finally, leading the charge and claiming who he is.
Yeah, instead of being bashed, was like, oh, well, I'm this important dude. He's like, I am this important dude.
Or don't you know who this is?
Yeah.
Type of thing. Because he probably doesn't want the, don't you know who I am? Because I don't give a damn who you are.
Yeah.
He wants to prove himself before he points at himself.
Yes.
Basically.
Yeah.
I think that's it.
Okay.
I think that's it for this chapter.
All right.
So, predictions?
So this next chapter is called Helm's Deep. And here's my thing. I thought Helm's Deep was the name of the battle in, like, the third movie. So, I am very confused. Because I'm like, obviously, I was very, very wrong.
So...
Because I thought Helm's Deep was, like, the big battle with, like, the elephants and such. It still might be. I'm not entirely sure, but I don't think so now. Okay.
So, with what you know from this past chapter, what do you think...
Well, again, something else...
What are your predictions?
Again, something else I know about Helm's Deep is... I don't know if it still holds the record, but at one point it held the record for most extras ever used in any scene.
But you're talking about a battle that is not going to take place soon.
But it's called Helm's Deep, so I'm assuming this is the battle. Or is it not? Ooh, okay. I'm gonna predict it is the battle. That's prediction number 1, that this is the battle against Isengard. That's what I'm going with.
Okay.
I do want to predict, since they're going off to fight Isengard, I'm going to assume that they're going to run into Merry and Pippin with the treants.
Okay.
Ooh, I need a third one. Ooh, I have no idea.
And Gandalf will ask for a glass of lemonade.
Yeah.
That cool, refreshing drink.
Yeah, I'm just totally ignoring you while I'm trying to think. Can I use my third prediction to make a long-standing prediction?
Spit it out and let's see.
Can I make the prediction that we will not see a chapter of Frodo and Sam until after whatever Isengard battle is about to happen?
Okay.
That we'll see the battle first, and then we're going to flash back to Sam and Frodo.
Okay, we can do that.
Okay, so I'll make that as my third prediction, but it'll be a long-standing prediction. I don't know how long this Isengard stuff is going to be, but I'm going to predict that we're not going to see Sam and Frodo until after it's all done.
Okay. Sounds good. Anything else we need to talk about?
I mean, we want to give a shout out. We do have new patrons.
Yes.
On Patreon, which, thank you.
Yes, thank you very much.
We're going to have a new outro soon with everyone's names.
Right. And with the outro, we'll have the names of all our patrons and a big thank you and an encouragement for others to join Patreon.
Yeah, because we have fun on Discord just sharing memes, and there's a spoiler channel that I am not on that people can talk about. It's fun over there on Discord. And of course, always engage with us on social media. We love it. We love talking to you guys. We love being pointed out when we're wrong, and we do make corrections when it's pointed out we're wrong.
Yes.
Because we usually are, especially me. Yeah. I feel like there was something else that I can't remember.
Oh, well.
We'll figure it out later.
If you remember while you're editing, you can just throw it in.
Yeah, that's what it was. One was an apology for this being late. Because, well, first, Robert had some tooth extraction, so he couldn't talk. And then I got sick, so I couldn't move. So thank you guys for being patient as life kicks us in the face.
Right. Literally. I lost 2 teeth.
Yeah. We're still working on that bonus content for everyone, for both our patrons as well as free content for our listeners. We are working on those as apologies, we promise. Yeah.
So, I have a challenge again for all of our listeners.
Oh, no.
Count how many times Evelyn says, and tell us the number in social media. Well, I've been Robert.
And I've been Evelyn.
And you've been listening to Token About It. Thank you so much for listening. I have been Robert.
And I have been Evelyn.
Podcasters are Robert and Evelyn Lewis.
Edited by Evelyn Lewis.
Produced by Robert Lewis, Evelyn Lewis,
Nikita.
Regina, and Comic Canary.
Music provided by Ben Sound. Link in the description.
Support us on Patreon at Token About It Podcast.
Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Tolkien About It.
And Twitter at Token Pod.
Thank you all again for listening, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.